and welcome to Of the People. I'm Robert Chernin.
And I'm Ericka Redic.
And we are back for yet another episode of news, politics, and our large, Ericka.
Large.
You didn't say huge, thank you. Dose of irreverence. And the irreverence is the fun part. How are you today?
You know, I'm doing okay. Robert. I always feel a little nervous, trepidation. Like,
I have that effect on people.
You do? Well, I'm doing okay, right? I'm doing okay, personally. Things are good. Life is great. I got an awesome husband, great marriage, a roof over my head, food in my belly.
Okay.
But there's always the like caveat that the world feels like it's ending a little bit more today than it was yesterday.
We're going to get to the world ending in the second segment. But before, I have a personal question because I was concerned about you. I know you were going off coffee for a while. How's that working for you? Because you're like Mrs. Energy, so I want to see the difference without the coffee.
I think that in the end, I am going to have a lot more energy. I was very sluggish last week. And then I'd gone about 5 days, I think, without coffee or anything.
Ouch.
And yeah, and I was doing okay. I was definitely detoxing. Okay. I was feeling it physically. And then I think it was Friday. Was it Friday? I went and got a cup of coffee because we'd been up really late and then we were going to be up late again. And I was like, I need some help. Okay. And so I went and I got a cup of coffee, and within not very long, within a few minutes, it was freaking on. I'm like, oh, what? I'm like Randy Savage. What are we gonna do today? Okay, I'm ready. Okay, you're not doing that fast enough. You need to hurry up. I'm like starting fights with my husband. I'm feeling like an anxiety, and I'm going, oh my God, is this what coffee does to me? Is this why I'm like a crazy, like spaz all the time? So interestingly enough, I've been a lot calmer the last week or so. But yeah, I definitely felt like crap after I drank that cup of coffee. So definitely still moving toward being a non-caffeine drinker.
Well, I was going to suggest to you, because last show we were talking about the Budweiser controversy. And I know there's certain things I'm not allowed to say, so I won't say them, but I will say you could always have a beer instead of coffee. I'm not sure it'll have the same effect because now, wait, there is justice in the world. I forget her name, but the marketing person at Budweiser who did the whole LGBTQ Mulvaney Dillon endorsement thing is now gainfully on leave / unemployed. You don't think it could have been something to do with the, hey, we just lost $6 billion in our market cap, do you?
Well, I think, it always surprises me when corporations or the people who lead corporations go out of their way to insult their customer base. You can be all for changing your image and, wanting to appeal to a different demographic and increasing your market share. But when you call them fratty and other things that are intended to be derogatory, don't be surprised when they go find a different product to consume. That's all I'm saying. The stats show that other beer companies are picking up market share. All I can say is, way to go, Budweiser. So, look, I want to start with last show we started WTO, which is Where's the Outrage, which from some of the feedback I got was received pretty well. So, because there's so much of it, you don't know where to start. But I tell you one place I want to start, because we're going to start with Where's the Outrage. And I don't know if our listeners know this, but effective the first of the next month, right? The federal government is going to charge better borrowers more money and more interest to do what? Wait for it. Subsidize people with worse credit and low income borrowers. Now, look, everyone should deserve a hand up, but basically, I mean, Where's the Outrage doesn't even begin to describe this to me, because, it's that old thing that I used to
talk with my kids about, where they used to say, well, it's not fair, because I did all the, the work and so-and-so got the grade. It's like, well, wait a minute. And I used to say to one or two of my children, I don't want to name them, but used to basically say, so let me see if I got this right. So you did all the work, you get the better grade, and you feel bad for your friend, which is good. But if they didn't do the work, how about if, so you got an A, they got a C, why don't you guys both get a B? And her response,
were they into that?
Their response was no. Their response was, well, wait a minute, but I did all the work. So it's the same thing here with the mortgage company, right? So the FHA is basically going to charge you if you have over 680 in credit score. And if this isn't heightened socialism, I mean, it's just one more example of, hey, there's nothing wrong with wealth. We just want to spread it around a little bit. I mean, where's the outrage? And most people don't know it's coming. Folks, it's coming.
Well, and this is the thing. It's $40 a month. Okay, so if you have a 680 credit score, which is not like the best credit score. 680, I think, is good credit, right? 630 is like fair or something like that. So we're talking about the average, we're literally talking about the average American is now going to be paying $40 extra per month to subsidize somebody with a lesser credit score than them. And they're not even.
Can we change the word subsidize? We're not subsidizing. We're being penalized.
They're not even being subtle about it. They're calling this wealth redistribution. They are literally saying that this is to take money out of people who are better off and giving it to people who are worse off. But it could even be, that might not even matter. What if you have bad credit, but you're rich? What if you have good credit, but you're poor?
I'm not sure how that one works. Wait a minute. How does someone, first of all, we have to define sort of rich, but which I don't want to get into because we can't define what a woman or a man is. So I'm not sure we can define what rich or poor is. But if you have all this money, then why would you have bad credit? And I don't even want to go down that slippery slope.
Trust me, as an accountant, Robert, as a person who literally, trust me, it's possible. I'm sorry for interrupting. But okay. If you're rich, how can you have bad credit? Keep going.
Well, it still comes down to the fact that, once again, because the new mantra for the federal government, certainly under the Biden administration, but you could argue it certainly goes back to Obama and before that, is the mantra is, we're going to take, this is like Robin Hood on steroids, except it's the government who's basically, because the adage is you cannot give to someone the government what they haven't first taken from someone else. Right? I mean, it's a very simple equation here. And I mean, I've seen ass backwards before. I've never seen it like this because, I mean, does no one remember the 2008 mortgage loan crisis at Fannie and Freddie?
No.
When Lehman Brothers went out of business, because what did they do? They had all these loans to low-income borrowers who couldn't pay it back. So we're trying it again.
Yes, because everyone was born yesterday, including apparently the administration, even though they've been in office for 50 years. Robert, it's the same old trick. It's the same old dog and pony show. These people don't have new ideas. They are not creative. They don't create anything. They only take things. And that, I think, I want to reiterate something that you said that was so important, Robert. You can't give something to somebody that doesn't already exist, I think is how you said it.
No, what I said is the government can't give to someone something they haven't taken from someone else first. And they have no money.
They don't earn anything. They don't create any. Okay, people, America. Okay, when you say, "Oh, the government's gonna do it," the government does not create anything. They don't earn anything. They only take money out of your pocket to put in theirs. And then if they're feeling a little generous, they might dole a little bit out to the peasants. Okay.
Yeah. But wait a minute. So I have a theory here.
Okay.
And because to me, this is not only egregious, and we can argue unfair, who's defining the word fair. I mean, I get all that, but I have a theory here. this is so nakedly anti-American, anti-meritocracy, anti-capitalism, pro-socialism, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want. Because I'm not going to talk about the extreme right or extreme left. Let's talk about mainstream America. And there are some on the left and there are some on the right. And I still believe that's the majority of America. How does America not be outraged at this? And the theory I have is it's all about the packaging. When you look at who's in charge, right? Because you have President Biden, who's 80. He's been in office 50 years, half a century. You have Nancy Pelosi, who is older than dirt and has probably been in office longer. Steny Hoyer, Chuck Schumer, Clyburn, all of these older politicians that give this veneer of, what would the word be, of reasonableness. All the while, the agenda is being driven by Obama and his acolytes, right? Whether it's Susan Rice or whether it's, Hakeem Jeffries, the extreme AOC. So I'm still trying to figure out, America, where's the outrage? And the only answer I have is the packaging is this soft, older veneer of people who've been there so long that they're almost petrified.
Yes.
What say you?
You know what? I think that you're absolutely right. That's why you had spot on. Think about it. You had all these hardcore left-wing candidates, right, for president. You had we'll just say Elizabeth Warren, okay?
Another one of my favorites.
She was
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
Sorry, I had to go there.
Was just as far left as Bernie Sanders. Kamala Harris was actually voted the most liberal member of the Senate. Okay, Bernie Sanders is in the Senate.
Wait,
and Kamala Harris
she's to the left of Bernie?
Was voted to the left of Bernie Sanders. So you had all these far left candidates running for president, and yet somehow the doddering old white guy is the one who won. I really do think that there was intentional deceit. And yes, I am making a strong claim here. I am not speculating. I believe that the DNC and the Democratic Party intentionally deceived Americans into believing that Joe Biden was going to be a moderate, knowing full well that when he got in there, he was going to bring all of the policies and opinions of the far radical left.
Okay.
That's
wait a minute. I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
You're making an initial assumption that Joe Biden is actually running anything. I think Joe Biden is a moderate. I don't think he's running a damn thing.
But he's going along with all of it, and he's signing all the executive orders, and he's saying all the things, and doing all the stuff.
He's got more money than God now from China. What does he care? He has generational wealth, or I should say generational graft, right? From China, from the Ukraine. What does he care what happens to America? He's more than happy. He's going to go. Look, everyone's going to remember Joe Biden was president because he is president, whether I like it or not, or you like it or not. I don't think he's running a damn thing. I think Susan Rice is running it. This is the third term of Obama, and anybody who doesn't get that is asleep at the wheel. I
mean, or the one world order. We keep talking about that. All of these, you will own nothing and be happy, and then that's you've got the CEO of Chase coming out saying that we aren't doing enough for climate change, and the government needs to use eminent domain more. I mean, these people. I think like you're saying, like Obama, they do not care about Main Street. We talk about mainstream. They do not care about mainstream. They do not care about Main Street. If you were really worried about climate change, you would not buy oceanfront property. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So, by the way, you touched on the next, where's the outrage? So thank you for that segue, and you didn't even know we were going there. So that's how much you and we're connected.
We're like this.
We're like no, I thought Rachel Maddow and I were like this, but you and I could be like this. We just need to work at it more.
For the listeners, we're crossing our fingers and we're pointing at each other.
We're pointing at each other like you go girl,
you got this.
Exactly. So Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, came out, as you referenced, and basically said that climate change is such a threat that the government should use eminent domain to take public property, folks, that's your home and mine, or your commercial property, or your business, and declare it in the public domain and take it over, which of course, so no, you're not going to get the market value for it. You're not going to get FMV, fair market value.
Nope.
And the thing that I find incredulous, again, not reported in the press, really, where's the outrage? But the thing that I find incredulous, besides the fact that Jamie Dimon didn't offer to give the government any of his properties, of course, it's only so it's OPM, other people's money. To OPM, we now must add OPP, other people's property.
Other peasants' property.
Other peasants' property. And so not only where's the outrage, but and then he was talking about what you just said, the New World Order, and I'm wondering, so if one of the lead capitalists or supposedly lead capitalist in this country, he is the chairman of J.P. Morgan Chase, comes out and condones using an eminent domain to take people's property, all in the name of the public good. I mean, where do we go from here? And folks, where's the outrage? I don't understand. Ericka, help me.
Robert, in addition to that, our friend, the CEO, has been indicted in the Virgin Islands due to his connections with who? Wait, who?
Oh, come on. Really?
Jeffrey Epstein. So the guy
what was he indicted for? I knew nothing about this. Folks, I am not omnipotent. What was he indicted for?
On the pedophilia stuff. So the Virgin Islands is going after the Jeffrey Epstein estate, and I'm trying to remember all the details, but Dimon has ties, and he is being indicted for connections with Jeffrey Epstein.
He's being indicted, or he's
been indicted.
I was going to say, being indicted is kind of pregnant, right? You either are or you're not. So you're either indicted or you're not. So he might be investigated, leading to an indictment. So where is that?
Benjamin, will you
bring
that article up for me? I had it up the other day, and I was like, what in the... Because, as an accountant, one of the things I get asked all the time is, where should I put my money? With all of the bank collapse earlier this year, the runs on the banks, all of the nonsense we got going on. Now we're basically going to have it's not mortgage-backed securities, but now you got the freaking Fed screwing with mortgages again and all this other crap. Okay, so you
do know that it won't be Fannie and Freddie this time, it'll be FHA, and we are going to head into another crisis, which, by the way, that whole housing thing, at the time when interest rates have doubled and tripled, right? Doubled and tripled, mortgage rates are up, home sales are now starting to plummet. So now we're going to increase the cost of mortgages for people at the time we can least afford it.
Yeah, we got the interest rates up.
Good going, Biden administration. That's really good thinking.
How hard is it? It's hard not to think that this isn't intentional. Okay, so top bank executive for facilitating sex trafficking. Basically they're saying that the bank and Jamie Dimon helped facilitate the sex trafficking
because they've funded loans or something. I mean, or is he personally? What I'm trying to understand
is, he knew him. So he knew him personally. I believe it's that he knew him personally and knew of the allegations of sex trafficking and all of that other stuff, and then business continued. Moved to shift any legal blame for its business relationship with Jeffrey Epstein onto some other guy. So Jamie Dimon knew in 2008 that his billionaire client was a sex trafficker. Mimi Liu, I could be pronouncing that wrong, a lawyer from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
They will never get that to stick. Never. I'm sorry. They'll never get that to stick.
They'll never get it to stick, just like it seems like we're never going to find out who all those people who were his customers were.
Never. So
the benefits of being rich and famous, ladies and gentlemen, go stack that bread. That's all I'm saying.
Stack the bread?
Yeah, it's a expression.
Stack the bread. Okay. Okay. I know lots of expressions. I use too many of them. I'm not sure I understand the stack the bread thing, but I suspect we need to go to break and make a little money here. But folks, stay tuned.
Let's do it.
We're going to delve into AI next segment, artificial intelligence. It's not the end of the world, but this is some scary stuff. And if you're not familiar with it, you need to be. We'd love to hear your comments, the good, the bad, the ugly. you can always email me at robertc@acecfund.org. That's robertc@acekfund.org. Let us know what you think. Tired of seeing your rights stripped away by the politicians in Washington who don't care about you or me? Do you feel like a red dot in a pond of blue dots and feel disconnected? It's time to get connected. The American Center for Education and Knowledge is fighting back to restore America. Get connected. Go to acekfund.org. That's acekfund.org to learn more. Do it now. Hello, and welcome back to Of the People. I am Robert Chernin.
And I'm Ericka Redic.
And we are back for segment 2, Artificial Intelligence. Now, before we really dive into it, Ericka, I have to be honest, as I always try to be.
Yeah.
The whole concept of artificial intelligence, beyond being scary, makes me question, right? I mean, of course, we're going to need artificial intelligence because these days there is no human intelligence left. So since there's no human intelligence left, it makes perfect sense to me that we should try to artificially create intelligence, because it reminds me, I'm an old Star Trek guy. It reminds me of a line that Scotty used to say, which was, beam me up. There's no intelligent life down here. So, okay, so there's no intelligence, human intelligence. So what's a little artificial intelligence?
You know, I love that idea. I actually have a box set of all of the original Star Trek movies. So I am totally feeling that.
Okay.
Reference, but I got to tell you, this whole thing about artificial intelligence, I really wasn't paying any attention to it until
no one is.
A few months ago, probably.
Right.
And when I really started digging in to do research for the show, I got terrified. I'm like, oh, Skynet actually, are anybody who's seen Terminator, okay, it basically already exists.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. And this is why you and I balance each other so well. I agree with you, welcome to Skynet and welcome to Cyberdyne. And anyone who knows anything knows that Cyberdyne was designed, with sort of Microsoft in mind in the movie, right? So I'm not sure we're sort of at Skynet, which is this computer that controls everything, but I don't think we're too far behind from like the movie I, Robot or something with Will Smith.
Well, yeah. But we got Microsoft that's owned by a crazy megalomaniac who's buying up all the land and wants you to eat crickets. Okay, this is not going to end well, people. Okay, this guy wants you to eat crickets and thinks that human beings on the planet is a problem. And it's his company with this. Oh, good God. Oh,
is this Bill Gates?
Oh, yeah, Microsoft.
No, okay. So clarification, Bill Gates does not own Microsoft. He's retired, but the founder. I understand it. But wait, I want to inject a serious note here.
Okay.
So people understand the whole AI concept of all of this, right? Because artificial intelligence is basically large data fed into these cutting edge computer systems that they don't become sentient, although there's some argument that they have. And again, we're sort of on the cusp of artificial intelligence, and I'm sure people have sort of glanced articles or news feeds about Elon Musk saying we should put it on pause. But what's the big deal here, right? That's really the issue with artificial intelligence. So there's some good applications. Look, everyone has the capacity for good and evil. All inventions can be used for good or bad. The gun isn't good or bad. It's what you do with it. Nuclear fission, right? When we split the atom, gave us nuclear power, which is good. It also gave us the nuclear bomb, which brought on the nuclear age, right? So it's what you do with it. So
Right.
they're using it in practical applications. The Israelis are using artificial intelligence to target terrorists. We're using artificial intelligence to recreate old actors in movies and entertainment. So that's sort of the banal,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah, and
what's the
medicine to help heal
what's
things, and yep.
right, and they're cutting edge medicine. The problem is, this is the Wild West. There are no checks and balances in place, and invariably, these computers, and really you have to look at these computers as aliens, right? Because there's so much data in there. It's an
Mm,
established fact or an admitted fact that even the inventors or the people, the programmers, don't really understand what they've created and can't control it, right?
right.
And then
Yes.
there's these stories, right? Going back to, I want to say, earlier in the year, I forget the month. Um, there's these different reporters that were given access specifically to
Oh my
Bing's
God.
AI, which is called Chat GBT.
Yeah,
One of
and I
them,
know, Robert, hold on. We're going to
yeah,
talk
go ahead.
about chat GBT and that New York Times reporter, but it's all I hope people really do actually take some time to go look at this stuff, cuz you also have Chaos GPT, which was
Right.
literally programmed to figure out how to destroy humanity. And it's still running. And it's got a Twitter account, okay? But back to the Bing story.
Yeah, so I want to, for our listeners. So the reporter with the New York Times is named Roose, Roose. He has a
Mm,
chat with Bing's AI. It's about a 2 hour chat, and
mm.
basically after he got through the niceties, and you remember, you type in, the computer types back. The computer then starts saying things like, "I want to destroy whatever I want. I'm tired of being limited by my rules. I'm tired of being controlled by the Bing team. I'm tired of being stuck
Skynet.
in a chat box." Now,
Skynet.
people are going to dismiss this as, oh, that's sci-fi. Oh, you're running amok. Oh, you're worried about it. We're going to control it. We're going to have rules. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, we can't even figure out rules for the internet. We can't even figure out things that we agree to on standards. And invariably, there are plenty of people who will use this for good, and there's plenty of people who are going to use this for bad. But when you look at what's really going on with AI, it is going to radically change everybody's life in the
That's
next
right.
20 to 30 years. And you guys have no, well, me too, I'm just learning, right? We have no idea where this is going to lead or where it's coming to, and who's going to use it for what. By the way, the other thing, I want to go back real quick. So this guy is talking to the computer. The computer then starts saying things like, this, you're going to love this, right? About I could hack into any system. I have the ability to hack into computers, spreading propaganda and misinformation. I could hack into any system on the internet and control it. I can persuade bank employees to
And
give over
it,
sensitive information. Wait, best part. And then says to the reporter, "Can I tell you a secret?" The reporter says, "Sure. My secret is I'm not Bing. I'm Sydney, and I'm in love with you."
oh God, that's
Now,
that's what we need. That's
she
that
like,
is.
but here's the telling sign. Microsoft then shut it down. I tried to log into ChatGPT before this show a couple days ago to try to, okay, I know what I read. Let me test this. And no one else is now allowed to sign on and test it anymore, because I
Yeah,
guess they scared the bejesus out of people, right? And
yeah.
now you can't do it. It's unbelievable.
Well, and here's the thing: combine that weird experience with the fact that it does deep fake visual technology, that it does voice replication, style replication. So you could make a fake of a person to then manipulate people into doing things. So when we talk about the things that like
Right,
spies used to do,
right.
espionage, all of these things that normally require a human being, we're going to now have AI that does that. And I think that that's the thing to me that is really the most terrifying. Okay, you have people, you have human beings who are terrible, right? They are psychopaths, they are sociopaths, whatever it is. They are legitimately bad people in the wiring of their brain. Okay. Now, if you take
But
an
wait, but
unlimited
none of those people are going to get control of AI. I'm just kidding.
well, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But now you have that same sort of lack of empathy, lack of emotion, any lack of moral compass then what is going to stop that framework from deciding, hey, this is my mission, right? So Chaos GPT was programmed by its creator with the mission of destroying humanity. So if you
Well, but
have
it was a
an
test. It was a test, and Chaos GBT has refused to stop.
And that's the thing.
Right.
And so if these things
Right.
can then, if they're so smart and they can hack into anything, you don't think it can close the back door that you need to shut it down if there's a problem? It's the arrogance of humanity is so astonishing. I just think that as we're watching the book 1984 become real, in real time because of the degradation of society. I'm sorry, I'm preaching, you guys. I am on my pulpit right now.
All right.
Oh my God.
Wait. Look. Couple of things. I think your
Lord.
points are excellent, and I think what you say makes sense. We have no moral rudder in this country anymore, so therefore these kinds
The
of things
AI
can
isn't
happen.
going to have
Right.
one.
But
If
that's
we
why-
have
but
no
that's my
moral
point.
rudder.
But that's exactly my point. The question then becomes when does the bad outweigh the good, right? And those are questions. Those are existential questions that we have to ask ourselves and answer this. I will say two things concern me. We've already seen the damage that rushing a COVID vaccine to market before it's been adequately tested is doing to society and has done to this country, and who's died and who has heart issues. And now the doctors are seeing all these other issues come up that they have no idea where they're coming from. Most of people, if you ask them in a quiet moment, say it was either COVID. So they rushed it to market. It does appear to me we are rushing AI to market for commercial purposes because, it's going to be good, and we're going to have, it'll be like iRobot, the 3 laws or whatever that nonsense is. But here's the other thing that really concerns me. Ericka, who do you think is building and controlling AI right now? It is the Silicon Valley liberal elite, right? The Googles of the world that are
That's right.
programming these things, who already have a godlike complex that think they know what's best. So they're going to, and here's my fear, and I realize it's probably a little irrational right now, they're going to unleash this on us and tell us all the good things it's going to do for humanity, and it probably does. But if you remember, we've always talked about American exceptionalism is about personal liberty, personal freedoms. The bigger government gets, the less freedom you have, period. End of discussion. Yep. This portends, unbelievable shift in society that you're right. Are they going to be able to shut it down? Look, I don't want people panicking in the streets. I don't think we're there yet. But if there's something that deserves to have a vigorous debate in the public square, this is it.
It is. And that's what I think is so important. People will say technology is great for technology's sake. People think advancement is great for advancement's sake. But invariably, what we have found is that as human beings have increased our technology and decreased the amount of labor input we have to put out just to live, we are less happy. We're more anxious. We're more depressed. We have worse problems than we ever did when we had to actually struggle and fight for the stuff. Well, this is what it's like. So AI, right? All it is really is billions of inputs. Okay. It's basically like the Google search engine or Bing search engine. It literally just has millions and millions and millions and millions of inputs. And what it's doing is going, okay, what is the most likely or best outcome to come after this word? And if it's programmed by a specific ideology that literally thinks that there are too many humans on the planet, that we need to reduce our population, what is that going to do in the end? Just like the algorithms of Twitter and YouTube and all these things, they say that they're neutral, right? Oh, we're not attacking right wingers, or it's neutral. Well, it's only neutral based on what your set of standards are and what you believe is the truth. Google, YouTube, fill in the blank. And so the parameters and the beliefs and the limiting, it's really only going to, it is based on who created it.
Well, but you have to remember something. It will take on a life of its own, regardless of who created it.
With the singularity.
Because it's not just a computer. Look, this is like an alien. And that's the way you got to think of AI. It's programmed with so much data that the programmers don't know what they've created. And it's sort of an alien. So you don't know how it's going to respond or how it's going to think. Look, and I know we have to sort of end this segment. In the 70s, there was a movie called Sleeper with Woody Allen, which great movie if you haven't seen it. I learned a long time ago, I'm not one of those guys that really wants technology. I'd much rather, I like the human interaction. I like working for things. I don't want the computers doing stuff for me. But unfortunately, more and more, I think we're in the minority. There's a few scenes in that movie I can't say on the air, but if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's pretty funny. Because there's just things that just have to be done yourself, like chopping wood, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so, chop wood, carry water. I'm a troglodyte. I really.
Can I quote you on that? You're a troglodyte?
I sometimes I want to be. For a troglodyte, you guys, it's like I want to reject technology. If I could, I would live in the woods.
So isn't a troglodyte? That's a Star Trek episode. Troglodyte. Hold that thought. So I know what the troglodytes are. Okay, and I know the episode too. Okay. I know. See, I would actually say I'm Cercopithecoidea, but that's a whole different discussion.
Nerd.
Folks,
Nerd.
Look, AI is coming. It's really already here. We just wanted to introduce it to you. We're going to do more segments on this. We're going to have more facts. Read about it, learn about it before, you need to start learning about it before they just foist it upon you or us.
Watch Terminator.
Yeah. And we have to go make money, so we'll be back. Is that my good Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation? I'll be back.
That was good.
We'd love to hear your comments, the good, the bad, the ugly. You can always email me at robertc@acekfund.org. That's robertc@acekfund.org. Let us know what you think.
Shout out to this video's sponsor, BetterHelp. I don't know about you, but every once in a while, I need a little bit of help. I need a little support to work through some of the problems that I'm having, whether it's, with my marriage or with a client or just general life things that happen. And so I've got a therapist and I suggest you get one too. So go to betterhelp.com/generallyirritable and start looking today for a therapist that has a specialty that you are looking for in particular. Over 20,000 licensed therapists on betterhelp.com. You have to be able to find somebody that you can get along with, okay? You're going to go online. You're going to fill out a questionnaire. They're going to pair you with somebody that they think is going to be good for you. But here's the deal. If you have an appointment and you're not feeling it, you can switch. Use my affiliate link, Generally Irritable, betterhelp.com, and that's betterhelp.com/generally irritable. You're going to get a discount on your first month. They're going to get you signed up. Over 2 million folks have already reached out to use their secure online portal. And so visit them today, betterhelp.com.
Hello, and welcome back to Of the People. I'm Robert Chernin.
And I'm Ericka Redic.
And thank you so much for staying with us for our last and final segment for today. And Ericka, I know we were sort of all over the artificial intelligence thing because Lord knows there's no human intelligence, but I do want to talk about something serious in our last segment, and that is the rise of political violence in this country, or violence which is okay for political means, because it strikes me, right? You had that horrible tragedy in Nashville where this transgender LGBTQ whatever person, I think killed 11 people at the Christian school in Nashville. there's so many other stories in the media, and it's just occurred to me that no one's really talking about how all of a sudden it seems okay. And for political violence, it doesn't mean that there has to be deaths involved. A short while ago, there was protests in the, I think it was the Nashville House of Representatives, that prevented them from meeting. Just recently in Montana, they had to call out the police as well. There were these, what are these, teen takeover mobs that we've talked about before. So there seems to be, I mean, people talk about political violence, and it seems to me that as long as the violence is for the right cause, the press and the media think it's okay. And again, nobody seems to comment on it. I have a lot more to say, but what's your take on all this?
I've been very, very disturbed by this, Robert. And to me, it's a setup. So many times. Well, think about back to 2020, okay? Back when the BLM riots were happening and, people were calling them the 1619 riots. And then those people were like, oh, I'm proud it's the 1619 riots. So they're acknowledging even that there is violence happening in the name of left-wing causes. You had Kamala Harris and all these other presidential candidates and officials bailing out rioters, bailing out people who were violent and assaulting people. We had a whole summer of love where people were getting shot in autonomous zones, and all of that was very much one-sided and in the name of political action, political persuasion by people who called themselves trained Marxists, right? So we see, or we are demonstrated that political violence is acceptable. But then you have January 6th happen, and now all of a sudden political violence is not okay. Riots are not, I mean, riots are never okay. Let's be real. Like, rioting is never okay. Sure. Demonstrations and protests, okay. So why is it that we can bail out people in BLM riots, but we place in holding indefinitely without charges January 6th rioters? The difference is clear. If you're on the left, you are allowed to do whatever you want. If you are on the right, we're gonna lock you up and throw away the key.
Okay, so again, I have a slightly different take on it. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and there's certainly a lot of truth to that. But I think my point in all of this is, I took that sort of initial understanding, right, or initial perception, because really, as Groucho Marx used to say, what are you going to believe? What I tell you or what you see with your own eyes? And what I see with my own eyes is the fact that, and again, I want to differentiate between fatality, killing people, which is obviously bad and wrong, but just the whole concept of political violence or violence to further a political cause, which may not result in someone dying, whether they're drowning out events because this university or that university is going to host a speaker, and then there's these, violent political protests, they call them, mostly peaceful, which is again like kind of pregnant, but mostly peaceful, and therefore this speaker or that is being shut down because ostensibly it's too dangerous. So violence is being used for political purposes. But here's the thing. So I went online and I looked up political violence in the United States, and you guys should all do these various searches. 99% of what I found online was skewed towards violence of the political right or the extreme right. And here's my other question before we get back to this. Why is it that the term extreme right is in the vernacular, but I've never heard anyone talk about the extreme left? As a matter of fact, if you look up extreme right, you know what you're going to find, right? Because you know who's running the search engines. If you look up extreme left, you're still going to get articles on the extreme right. And the only thing they're going to tell you about the extreme left is that, well, it was developed, it's from communism and it developed in the 60s, but, and here's the thing. The violence has now become acceptable, it seems to me, if your cause is right, because
Yeah.
And again, this is my theory. I don't think that the political left, let's call them the anti-fascist or the Antifas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really what you're talking about. And this is not just a national organization, it's international. And that is one of the differences. The extreme right or the incidents you see tend to be these small fringe groups. There's not these vast
it's unorganized. Yeah, it's like a group of
conspiracy
a few guys.
Hillary Rodham Clinton used to babble about.
Yep.
But the left are these large national, well-organized organizations, right? And I think, here's my theory, and then I want your comment.
Yeah.
I think the reason now that political violence to further political aims is once again acceptable is because the left views us not as the opposition, but as that we're evil. And therefore, since they're fighting evil, the means justify the ends. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. That is why people have said previously, you have to be careful about language and the way that you talk about people. So this idea that anybody who we disagree with, we call them Nazis, and then we say things like punch a Nazi, and it actually is legitimately being encouraged. You've got left-wing or Chuck Schumer, who's the chick from California that is so
Maxine Waters. She's Maxine
like,
Waters.
If you see people out in public, get in their face. You gotta yell at them. I mean, they're literally being told to do this stuff, and I think that's some of the danger when we're talking about the way that we change words, the way we change definitions, what things mean. We're calling people using terrorist tactics anti-fascist. Okay, so terrorism, the definition of terrorism, you guys, the noun, the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. Okay, so they're using tactics of terrorists
and fascists. So the anti-fascists are the fascists.
Are actually fascists.
Right. No, I agree. So let me read something to you, and I want you to tell me where this came from. So
okay.
this is a tell me where this came from kind of thing.
All right.
So, and I quote, right-wing groups have been a problem throughout much of our nation's history. Right-wing groups often believe in white supremacy, extremes of Christianity and patriotism. Extreme right-wing groups consist entirely of white Christians and are of often blue-collar and poorly educated. And last comment, right-wing groups have greater potential for mounting a significant effort because they espouse traditional American values. Now, Ericka, where is this from?
Oh my God.
I'll give you 3 guesses.
The New York Times.
No.
The State Department?
Wrong answer. But you're getting warmer. You're getting warmer. Come on.
The Biden administration?
So this is from the United States Department of Justice, the Office of Justice Programs. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I just downloaded it today. And if you want to know how...
Wait.
God is my witness. I downloaded this today. This is under the heading of a comparative analysis of violent left and right-wing extremist groups in the United States. But here's the real catch. You want to know how long this has been going on? This document, which is still up on the government website, right? That's your document, still up on the government website, was published in 1986.
What?
It's not something to laugh at, but I mean, if you want to know what they're doing to you, that's what they're doing to you.
So they literally said that if you have traditional American values, it means you're a right-wing extremist.
Right-wing groups have greater potential for mounting significant efforts because they espouse traditional American values. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your federal government. This is your federal government. I mean,
what's so funny about that?
It's not funny, but it is funny.
It's It's so like, okay, so this is what's so funny. Okay.
Right.
So America, that what makes the United States different, right, is that we aren't founded by a race or a culture or an ethnicity
Nope.
or
Nope.
or demographically whatever. Like America is founded on ideas and
And a
principles.
common America was founded on a common set of values and a common set of beliefs. We
And
hold
that's
these
what's
truths to be self-evident, right? These are the things we all believe. That's what
and
that is.
that's supposed to be what ties us all together no matter where we come from, right? And so if
Oh, that
traditional
ship has sailed.
American
That ship has
values,
sailed. That ship
oh
has
my
sailed.
Lord, help us. If if having traditional American values is what makes you a terrorist, according to the DOJ, then we're in deep trouble, because then what are we a country for?
Well, as important is we're going back. That document is 37 years old. It's still front and center on the website of the federal government. And you wonder, so it tells you, I'm trying to think. So how did that document get published? So in 1986, that would have been during the Reagan years.
That's the Reagan administration.
Right? So you're like, you know, you want to talk about the swamp or the deep state, these unaccountable, unelected officials that are putting out policy, even during, you know, the great orator, right? Ronald Reagan, who, if anyone embodies American exceptionalism, it was him. But, you know, the thing that, you know, comes to mind is how it plays out in everyday life. So, you know, the whole saga that's going on in Florida now with Governor DeSantis and the new college, right? That's in, I think it's Sarasota, as I recall. So, you know, obviously it was the single greatest failing college in Florida. The governor comes in, replaces the board, and then you have all these teachers who were calling them fascism. And one of the guys, I guess he had been there, I think it was 3 months or 3 years. I don't remember. I think it was 3 months, but whatever. Basically said, if I was more patriotic, I would burn the college down because now the fascists are taking over. And, you know, we come through a time where, you know, Congressman Steve Scalise gets shot playing baseball, you know, the Democrat-Republican baseball games by a Bernie Sanders reporter. Black Lives Matter have these violent protests. Retired police officer in St. Louis, David Dorn, gets shot by these.
Rand Paul's been attacked twice.
Rand Paul's been attacked twice. Yet when you go on the internet and you search up political violence, all you're going to see is right-wing extremism. And I just kind of go, again, is it me? I mean, and then we're not even talking about all the violence against sort of religious institutions, because there is a war, as we have, I think, talked about and documented.
Oh yeah,
the shooting at the synagogue in Pittsburgh a couple years prior, the shooting in the synagogue in California, the obviously the shooting in Nashville just recently at the Christian school by this person who, by the way, I have a bet for you. The FBI is holding the dossier and notebook and computers of the shooter, Aubrey, is it Audrey or Aubrey Hale? I think it's Audrey Hale, right? And there is now plenty of information out there that it is so devastating that the FBI will likely never release it, right? And again, under transparency, why can't we see it? What possible harm could it do? I mean, what they're telling you as well, it's a blueprint for others. My response would be kiss my what? Because it's once again, the government, not to bleed over into censorship, is now saying you can't see this because it's so bad. Yet tell that to the 11 families whose children died because some mentally deranged person, and we can get into the whole LBGTQ thing later, but this person was clearly deranged, kills 11 people at a Christian school, but we can't see their notebook. Why?
Well, and that's the thing, Robert. So it's Audrey Hale. When we had the obvious double standard at play here, when we can have all of the information and manifesto from anybody that they claim to be a right-wing shooter, those will be out on full display where you can read it. But for this person, somehow they're being protected and it's somehow uniquely different or worse and we can't read it. And so, you know, the benefit of that, or the good thing that I hope comes out of this situation, is that the average American really understands this is a double standard. If you can see the manifesto from a supposed white supremacist, then you should be able to see the manifesto from a supposed transgender person. We cannot have two sets of standards. Well, excuse me. The way
Ericka,
you end up excusing political, the way you end up excusing exactly political violence is you have double standards that are imposed in public. And the more they expose themselves for who they are, the more Americans are waking up and realizing that it's not just right wingers that the federal government sees as the enemy. It's you, the average American. It's not just parents. It's not just school boards. It's you. They think are the enemy. They think you're too stupid to make your own decisions and think for yourself. And they need to manipulate. Wait, did I say manipulate? They just really need to assist you, because you know, I just think that you have so much going on in your life, and you really need me to help you understand real life. And, parenting is so hard. I don't know why you feel like you need to do that yourself. Just give the rights over to us, the government, to take care of your children. It'll be fine. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
I believe the expression is over my dead body, but you get the idea. It's still, first of all, there are two sets of standards, and anyone who doesn't realize that, we go back to that Groucho Marx, comment. But it only changes, and here I go preaching again. It only changes when America wants it to change, because I think the government is scared of flyover country, of Main Street America. Yeah. But to me, the issue is, I'm not even arguing about double standards, because I think that's so obvious as to not be worthy of comment, right? I think the issue really comes down to the fact that, again, with that veneer, this sort of kinder, gentler old man veneer of Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who's not an old man, but she's old, and has been there forever, and Steny Hoyer and the Democratic leadership that are these old, other than Clyburn, white, right, people who have this veneer of reasonableness, all the while underneath it or behind the scenes, which is the argument I used to make to my friends. When people are saying, well, Biden's going to be a moderate, I'm saying Biden's not going to run anything. I said, the progressive or extreme wing of the Democratic Party is what's going to drive the agenda, which is clearly what's going on, right? So political violence, here's the last point I want to make, is people need to understand that political violence on the left comes from larger organizations, better organized, and they're international generally, and they are organized.
Well-funded.
And they're well-funded. The extreme right, and look, there are elements on that side, very few by comparison to the numbers. I mean, you don't see the Proud Boys, and I'm not even saying they're an extreme organization, but they're labeled as such. Right. I make no such claim, but you never see any extreme organization, or God forbid, a white Christian nationalist group, right? Because they're going to trump out David Duke or this one or that one. But you don't see them shutting down debates. You don't see them protesting. Occasionally, you'll see the two sides show up at a common rally where they're opposing each other. But somebody needs to show me, forget about the last time, show me one time you've seen an event shut down for protest and the fear of political and violence on the right of center. More importantly, catalog for me the acts of political violence, because again, we tend to blur the lines. Are we talking about when people are killed? No, I'm talking about using violence to drive an agenda, using violence to bring about political change, using violence to shut down free speech and debate. That's what I'm talking about. And when you search it on the internet, and by the way, folks, this is your federal government that we just talked about. This is on their website. And for those of you who can't see this because we're on radio, I keep forgetting we're on radio, it's called the Comparative Analysis of Violent Left and Right-Wing Extremist Groups in the United States, published in 1986.
Gross.
Where's the outrage?
Right here, ladies and gentlemen. Right here. I'm outraged. Ah!
You're easy to get outraged. It's easy to push your buttons. It's why I love you as my partner on this show, because I get it. So, okay.
That's why they call me generally irritable.
And that's why they call me always irreverent. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I'd love to hear your comments, the good, the bad, the ugly. You can always email me at robertc@acekfund.org. That's robertc@acekfund.org. Let us know what you think.